Grab some coffee, a Mountain Dew, maybe both. A storm is brewing. The Brainstorm. Welcome to the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.
Hey, welcome to the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Mike is on vacation today, so we have a couple of guests with us. We have Freddy Marchant, our sales manager over at Splash Omnimedia.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show, Freddy.
Thank you.
Or shore if we're at the ocean, but we're
I
not.
wish I was at the beach.
Yeah, so welcome to the show, Freddy. And also we have Nick Richter. He's a client services manager here with us. Nick, also welcome.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. We have a good show lined up for you today. Today we're talking about marketing strategy foundation. Before you really can market your business and even create a full strategy or a full strategic plan, you absolutely have to have some foundation pieces. And so really, just like it is foundation, it sets that core infrastructure for your business and your strategy to really start then advertising. You know, guys, one of the things that's probably used in the same context, which actually means two different things, as marketing and advertising. Mm-hmm. People just use those things synonymously all of the time, those words synonymously, and they're just not. You know, advertising is pretty simple. Advertising is simply whatever the vehicle is you're conveying the message to the demographic of the people that you're wanting to reach.
Right.
That's advertising. So TV advertising, radio advertising, everything's advertising if you want to take the message from internally to externally, right? That's all advertising. Marketing is much more strategic in nature. Like, you actually have to have a plan. It's associated with some type of plan. For instance, what products or services do you offer? What hole does your products or services fill for the consumer of your products or services? Mm-hmm. What's the pricing as opposed to your competitors? Who is the demographic that's going to purchase or consume those products or services?
Right.
What type of, in the demographic, you dive deep into figuring out age ranges, income brackets, house values, business revenue for B2B types of strategies. I mean, there's a lot that goes into a strategic plan. That's marketing.
Right.
And so many people just use those things synonymously. It just drives me crazy, but sooner or later you just let them just go, right? So
exactly.
When people start saying, I'm like, okay. But you have to have a good strategic plan to get a really good marketing strategy, right? And so with those pieces, you have to lay that foundation. Today's show is all about that, Freddie.
Yep. You know, one of the things that interests me is, we meet with people every day, whether it's face to face or over a Zoom meeting. And one of the things that we find is that, I'd say 75 to 80% of the people we talk to don't have a plan. They don't have anything. They just don't know.
Right.
And one of the things, would you build a house without an architectural plan?
No way.
Right.
Okay, well, let's go build a house. Well, let's put the roof on first.
Right.
Right. And there's so many people out there that are doing that. So I feel like one of the things that we do a lot of times is actually have a longer initial meeting with people just to find out where they are or actually aren't.
Right.
And then coming up with plans and education to get them there. So hopefully the show will be something that will help someone. You got to prevent the pain of having that first initial meeting where they don't have a plan.
And you use the extreme, Nick, or Freddie used the extreme of let's put the roof on first.
Right.
But another example of which I think would resonate with a lot of business executives and business owners, and if you're not a business executive, business owner, you might be in sales or operations, and this might resonate with you because your owner or the decision makers are probably more like this. They know how to build a house, and they start building the house, only to find out that the house they should have built should have been a 4-bedroom and they built a 2-bedroom. Right. So they build a solid house. It's just not the right house for the right situation.
Right.
And that's what a lot of businesses do. They know who the demographic is. They know their business model. They know their services. They know their pricing because they've been doing it. Mm-hmm. A case in point is when, say, someone who works for a business, let's say it's a B2C type of business or a technician-based business, HVAC or plumbing or roofing or something like that. They've been doing it forever for another company. They quit. They open up their own business because they know how to do it.
Right.
Right? but they don't realize that the marketing strategy is what drives all those opportunities, and not only drives the opportunities, but the right opportunities, which is two different things.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
So, Nick, I know that you've, in the client services, how we're structured here is our sales team, Freddy, or we call them strategists. What happens, they go out and they meet with people, they create strategies, and they think through strategies almost on the spot, kind of off the cuff, as a first draft, if you will, a first version of what a good strategy might look like. They then go over that with the client, and put it in perspective of their business. And then when they finish with that and the client says, yeah, you guys are the right ones to do that. And thankfully we have over 400 different clients that we work with on a daily basis. What ends up happening is the client, depending on what type of client it is, will then get assigned to a client services manager. That's where Nick and Nick's department comes into play. So Nick works with a ton of our clients in very diverse types of industries, from insurance industries to medicine to law to services like roofing. He has a variety of types of clients and has a very diverse background of being able to work in all of those. So Nick, talk to us a little bit about some of the foundations that we have to internally, once the strategist kind of put together that who's the client, who's the target market, what we're looking for, all that type of stuff, and then turns it over to our client services. Talk to me a little bit about what we're looking at foundationally.
Right. So one of the common mistakes I think I see a lot is when someone has a website, or they have a business, they know that they need a website.
Yeah.
Right. But they have no idea what it takes to put out a great website. They don't know what they want on the website. They don't know what their goal of the website is. They just know they need one.
A new website,
right. That is,
right.
I need a new website. Okay. Right. Well, let's work backwards.
Or they might have a great website and they don't even know that it's not working for them.
Exactly. And so coming up with a plan to get them to achieve their goals is one of my biggest things that I really pride myself on. Is, okay, what's your goal? Okay, I want to sell a roof to somebody,
right,
or X number.
Yeah,
right. Okay, well, let's figure out a plan to get you there. Okay, what does your typical audience look like? Who's the decision maker in the household that's going to need your services? And then we kind of work our way backwards and create a plan to target specifically that audience for them.
Don't you love it when you start at such a basic level and you're like, who's our best average target market?
Right.
And the first words out of their mouth is everybody.
Let's whittle it down.
So 6-year-olds,
right?
College students.
You just want to throw money to the wind.
People that are in retirement homes, right? It's not everybody.
Right.
I can guarantee you there's no business out there that everybody is their target market.
Of course.
There's not one. You have to understand that has to be one of the infrastructure pieces of the strategy.
Right.
Who is your target market? You have to identify that all the way down to the demographic. Now, I know I make that sound very, very simple, and I know it's not, okay? Because if you're like us, there might be a ton of different target markets or demographics, because you might offer different services or different products that reach different demographics as you go through that, right? And so you might actually have in your case, Nick, you were just saying roof, right? Like a roofer, a large roofing company, right? They might have commercial side, they might have a residential side, they might have metal roofs, they might have like a spray on the commercial side. They might have all types of different application. They might do new construction. They might only do new roofs. They might also do siding and windows. They might also do gutters. And you see where I'm going with this? So you would think, okay, a roofing company, that's simple, man. It's just put on new roofs, right? No, it's not.
And
because all of those different target markets
and
are
you
different
need a plan
messages.
for each one of those items.
You have to have a plan for everyone.
For each one?
Commercial business owners looking for a different thing than a residential, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has to be a different message. So in just a minute, we're going to dive deep into messaging, and all of that messaging starts with a one-liner, creating a one-liner. It's just a simple message that you get, and we're going to go over some extremely popular ones from some large companies that we absolutely know you've heard on the radio, on TV. You know them by heart. As soon as I say them or Freddy or Nick says them, you're going to say, oh, I know who that is. So I really appreciate you joining us today on the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Today's show is all about marketing strategy foundation. So as we dive in, let's get going. So this is a one-liner conversation, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about one-liners. One of my favorite one-liners, I have a bunch of favorite one-liners. Well, an example to a one-liner, which is really what I want to give a lot of listeners and viewers, Nick and Freddy, is I want to give them some examples of some really popular ones that they can start to resonate with. And then we can start diving deeper in what that is, why it actually is a good one-liner. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Geico. Well, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said who it was. But now I'm going to start off Geico. Obviously, you're already going to know, but pretend I didn't say the word Geico for a second. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. So if I would have said that, you would have known it was Geico.
Right.
That's a good one-liner, right? The Dollar Shave Club. Shave time, shave money, right? MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard, right? I mean, it's just some really great examples, Freddie.
Right.
I mean, what's some other examples that you like?
So if I say the few, the proud,
The Marines.
The Marines.
The Marines.
So the U.S. Marine Corps.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that one. There's one, Like a Good Neighbor.
State Farm is there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, those just kind of jump at you. Even there's one where you just kind of hum it like ba-da-ba-ba-ba,
Just loving it.
I'm
right?
loving it, right? So
I'm
McDonald's,
yep.
right? So there's a lot of good ones that kind of jump out. I really like the quicker picker upper.
Bounty.
Bounty.
Yeah.
So, we're out of paper towels, by the way. So,
Okay.
wait, so that caused me to remember that, which
Right.
is another great example of what these one-liners should be.
They're
for,
an exercise in memorization,
Yeah.
Right?
really.
Exactly.
So Nick, when we're creating a one-liner for a company, that there are some parameters in which we follow, right?
Right.
I mean, there are some very important parameters in which we follow. And it's really kind of a 3-step process, if you will, right? And so, Nick, go over those for me. Go over the 3-step process of what makes, and apply it to like the Geico or something of that nature. Those 3 steps and why those 3 steps have to be in every single one-liner that exists.
Okay. So, 15 minutes or more can save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Right.
What they're doing there, the first step is they're addressing the problem. What's the problem? No one has time.
Right.
It's only 15 minutes, but they're hitting it with a resolve to it. It's going to save you 15% or more. Well, I got time for that.
Right.
That's a great example for it. You want to make sure that you address the problem. Then you want to make sure that you kind of narrow that down. You focus on one problem, and then you address, that with how your company solves that problem. So that's the quick and dirty of it right there is you find that pain point for the customer.
Yeah.
You address it, and you make sure that your company is the one that
absolutely. You're exactly right. And what all of these are doing, right? And so it talks about the problem. Here's the 3 ingredients. You have the problem, you have what it is that you offer them, and then you have the result, right? And so it's the problem, the product, the result. It's that simple, right? In that particular case, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. I love that, right? Shave time, shave money. Right, that's only 4 words for the Dollar Shave Club. 4 words. They're doing a great job right there, right? Because what's the problem, right? You're shaving time and you're shaving money. So that means that you're cutting time.
you don't have to go to the store.
You don't have to go to
look
the
at all
store.
the razors in the aisle. They're just shipping them right to you.
Right. You get them in your mail, and you're saving money by doing it.
Right.
Right. So what's the product? Shaving products.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Razors. I mean, it's
Shave cream.
it's shaving products. Right. So now we know the product. The product is doesn't even have to be stated in this particular case. Now in your business, you might have to actually state it. Right. And then what's the result? The result's the same thing as the problem almost, right? The result is by using our product, you get to save time, quasi shave time, right?
Yep.
Right. And then save money. And so I love those types of things, right? If I said taste so good, cats ask for it by name. What is that?
Meow Mix.
Meow Mix,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. And so these, how about Can You Hear Me Now? Good. Verizon,
Yep.
right? And so, and they branded these things in our mind because they did spend some advertising dollars, right? And see there is a little bit of key there. Like you can spend a lot of time, money, and effort, and you build all this great infrastructure, and then you don't tell anybody, right? It's like, right? But even worse is you tell everybody, which is advertising.
Yep.
You invite them to come see your message, and then your message has no meaning to it. It's not remarkable. It's certainly not memorable. It's long and complicated. It's not repeatable, right? I mean, it doesn't hold all of the core ingredients that a message has to hold.
That's right.
Right? And so that's one of the struggles. And so what you don't want to do is you don't want to spend a lot of time, money, and effort building it and not tell anybody by advertising it. And the last thing you want to do is advertise it before you actually have an infrastructure ready.
Exactly.
Right.
So, I mean, it's vital.
I think one of the beautiful things about what we're talking about is that most people get into a business to solve a problem,
Right.
right? So why not talk about the problems that you solve in your one-liner? The other thing about that, the irony in it is that most people buy to solve a problem. So if we're sitting there with that mindset and that thought at the beginning or in the foundation of what we're talking about, then we've got a leg up on everybody else who has no plan, right? And so the key to that one-liner is to help build a relationship and help somebody memorize what you do. I believe the stat is around an average person hears around 3,000 messages a day.
Right.
So how do you rise above the noise? How do you get above that? And it's through having an effective one-liner and message that somebody can quickly bring to mind to help them make a decision.
Right.
So,
And I mean, 3,000 messages a day, right? How do you remember the one that sticks out? It's got to be really good. It's got to address that pain point. A lot of people buy also off of emotion. You know,
right.
They're emotionally feeling that pain of a leaky roof, or, you know, feeling the pain of like paying too much for insurance.
Right.
So like, you know, if you could empathize with that pain, they're going to kind of keep going down that route that you're laying down for them. So
That's right.
It's a great opportunity.
that's right.
And of course, you know, all of this leads to the most important thing that we're trying to do. We're building this infrastructure, this foundation for you in order to do what? In order to build relationships with your client base, both prospective and current and even past
Right.
client base, right? And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to get these one-liners, and then we're going to talk a little bit about your website. We're going to talk a little bit about, and when we say website, I also wanted just to pause there for a second, and we're going to go dive deeper into this in just a minute. But your website, we're not talking about just a website. I mean, everybody talks about websites, right? Everybody's got to have one, but what we're really talking about is your digital footprint, okay? And so it's your digital introduction to new people. It's your digital cross-sell to current clients. It's your digital upsell. It's your digital offer. It is the best sales person or sales staff you will ever have if you use it correctly. So people just use the term website so lightly and so loosely, because you can have a bunch of different digital footprints. You can have your main website. You can have landing pages. You can have even social media. A lot of times for some really small businesses, a lot of people use their Facebook as their digital footprint.
Yep.
And so the whole purpose is for this digital footprint to properly convey your message. And there's one of the ways that you're going to convey the message is through a one-liner that we're talking about. And all of this goes hand in hand with, or is the infrastructure of really building relationships with this client base, right? And so, Freddie, I know you're in sales, so I know that there are some rules of relationships, if you will, right? And so there's some things that you absolutely have to have, some ingredients to building great relationships. It's also we try to keep it simple around here. It's really kind of 3 steps as well. Talk to me, Freddie, about the rules of relationships.
Well, this kind of brings back to high school and college when you're kind of learning and about dating and things like that. But one of
Is this where you bring up the little check mark and says, I like you, do you like me? Check yes or no.
Exactly, that little
Swipe
note.
right, swipe
The little
note. How things have changed, right?
Right.
But the bottom line, whether you're swiping right or left or whether you're checking a box, it's all about curiosity, right? And so you have to have curiosity in someone else, and you have to create curiosity in yourself. So when you sit back and you look at that, that's the foundation of every relationship. And to create that, you have to be able to show your potential client how you can help them survive and thrive, how you can make their life better. Once you do that, the next thing that you have to do to build a relationship is enlighten that person. So you have to get to know one another, right? So, and it's kind of like a step-by-step thing. A lot of people say putting the cart before the horse, right? So, you're not going to ask somebody to get married on the very first date. Most people aren't, right? Usually if they do, it's not going to end well. So you create that curiosity, you enlighten them on what you do or why they should buy from you, why they should come to, Joe's Pool Hall, right? So, and then commitment.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's really 3 steps: curiosity, enlightenment, commitment. You have to do all 3. Hey, you're listening to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. The show is all about marketing strategy foundation. So I really want to just continue on that same thread, Freddie. I mean, when you're talking about a curiosity and building the foundation of every relationship, I mean, people have to want to know more about it, or they might already be ready to buy it. Right, that's fine too.
Right,
but sooner or later they would have been educated in some way that it exists,
exactly,
or that they need it, or why they need it. Right, what type of hole does it fill for them? Right. I mean, that has to be there, right? And so that could be through some advertising, that could be through referrals. I mean, that can be through all types of things, networking groups. I mean, there's all types of ways to educate, which builds the curiosity, which then, kind of pushes people through that cycle. And then you have to show them how you can help, which is enlightenment. But really what you're doing is simply showing people how your product, your service, you can help. And then it takes a commitment. You have to, what is it? Are you scheduling a discovery call? Or are you just clicking here to buy it? Is it learn more? Is it, okay, here's your 3 options. Which one are you going to purchase? I mean, you're just going to make a commitment there to build that relationship and move it on. Nick, you were talking about 3,000 messages a day approximately an average consumer gets, right? And we're talking about they driving to work, they're seeing billboards, right? They're listening to the radio, they might have, hopefully they're listening to our podcast, and sometimes we even have some commercials on that ourselves, right?
Right.
But
social media,
timeline. They might have had the TV on while they were getting dressed this morning, so that's got commercials. Social media, they definitely looked through their Facebook feed, but probably saw 30 right there. If they're watching this on YouTube, right, they're actually seeing some advertising because they see our banner stands behind us, they see our koozies here on our water bottles. It's advertising is all around us.
Right.
Like you can't avoid it.
Right.
And that's a good thing. And the reason why I'm saying it's a good thing is because people have problems in life, right? Like 2 days ago, I woke up and had a clogged shower drain. Okay. Well, what am I going to do about it? I'm not really good at those types of things. Like I'm excellent at marketing strategies. I'm not really a great handyman. Okay. So I'm going to look for a plumber, right? Now, in my particular case, we have plumber clients. So I already know who to call. But in most places, they're not a marketing company. So they're not going to have plumbing clients, they're just automatically going to call. Who do you call? Well, you're going to look that up. How are you going to look it up? Right? Is it a brand that you're already aware?
Right.
Through TV, through social media, things through that, like attraction-based advertising, or is it search-based advertising? Like I'm going to go to the search engine, I'm going to search it, and then you have all types of things going on there. You got SEO, you got pay-per-click, you got the Google 3-pack, you got all kinds of things happening there on a Google screen. In other words, right, which one of those are you going to choose? How is your business, if you're a business person listening to the show, how is your business going to cut through all of the other people who also want that plumbing job, right? Cutting through the noise. So 3,000 ads a day the average consumer sees, if not more.
Right. And you don't realize how good you are as a person to swat these away. That's why they've got to be
memorable.
Right.
Memorable.
Right.
Remarkable. Somebody want to repeat it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
I mean, think about all the commercials out there that you've repeated in the past. You remember, Freddy and I are well, Freddy's a lot older than me. I know I say that every show he's on, but he's really not. He and I are really the same age, but we were fraternity brothers together. We went to college together. Right. That's how we know each other. Lived in a fraternity house, and I'll stop the conversation there. Yes, but well, we know each other a long time. And so we've heard a lot. But you remember the "What's up"? Yeah. Right? You remember that exactly, one? Yeah. Right? And that was still today. People say, "What's up?"
What's up?
Right? So I mean, there was a lot of really good commercials, if you will. Yeah. Right? Yours has to really cut through all of that noise. Now, Nick and his team, they do a lot of this construction. They're the ones who are composing and crafting these messages that cut through the noise. So Nick, talk to me a little bit about just what your team's thinking about when it comes to this type of crafting of these messages.
Right. And so if you think about it, when's the last time you've actually seen a television construction commercial? Not very often. When you get into these situations where you need a plumber or you need an HVAC, installed, or you need, a new roof or whatever that kind of service is, oftentimes people go to social media or they go to Google and they search, plumber near me, and then they'll figure that out. So like our team will, find, what it is that business is wanting to do, like what their goal is. And, we try to come up with a plan to, get in front of the right person. So for, an HVAC company or a roof or a plumber, like in your instance, Google is a great opportunity to drive them, the traffic that they need to get in front of the right person. I need a plumber. Plumber's near me. It's like one of the most common searches if you're in, in need of a plumber. So pay-per-click is great. SEM is great for that kind of item. Yeah,
absolutely. So now we've created that one-liner. We created that message, that thing that you're going to repeat, whatever it is, over and over and over. The thing that if someone asks you or anyone on your team, what is it that you do? Like what is it that your company offers, or who do you work with, right? That thing that just kicks in. It's just immediate. And so, and it's consistent. That's the key. If it's repeatable, it's remarkable, it's repeatable. You want to keep it simple, keep it short. It's got to have those three ingredients: the problem, what it is that you offer, and the result. And just try to keep those in as few words as possible. And here's the reason why. The reason why is because once you have that done, not only can you and your team repeat it, but anybody that's going to refer someone to you will instantly be able to repeat it. Now, how awesome is that? Let's say you're a home service provider and you do business with neighbor A. Neighbor A knows it so many times because you've said it, your commercials say it, everything about you says it, your vehicle wrap says it, maybe even the print collateral that you left behind says it. I mean, everything says your one-liner, right? So now you got this one-liner, and neighbor B comes over and says, now who did your work? Think about it. Neighbor A is not only going to tell them the name of the company, they're going to give them your one-liner. So that is very, very powerful marketing and advertising. You absolutely have to have that piece. But now we're going to drive people, because in that same example, neighbor B is then going to take your information, and what are they going to do? Look you up.
They're going to do their due diligence.
They're going to your digital footprint, your website.
Yep.
See where we're going? It doesn't matter what your advertising is. It doesn't matter how many referrals you get. It doesn't matter, right? Like, sure, a referral is better than a cold advertising, attraction-based ad, certainly, but it still leads them to the same place.
That's right.
Your
Takes you right back to the rules of a relationship. You got that curiosity. Who did that?
Who did that?
Then the enlightenment phase, they're going to go start looking it up.
Right.
All the information on their website.
That's right. And so they're taking you to wherever it is that you want them to go. Now, you got to have a good spot to go to. It's like a dinner party. Don't
Right.
invite anybody over to a dinner party and you ain't got no food. You don't have anything to drink. You don't have any chairs to sit in. You don't have any games to play. That's called bounce rate.
Yep.
You got a high bounce rate on your analytics on your website. Everybody's probably writing this down, right? What is bounce rate? Bounce rate is how many people come to your website and bounce.
Simple, right?
If your bounce rate is over 50% on your homepage, that means that you are not compelling. You are not answering the question. You are not selling the client what they want to hear. You're probably selling them what you want to give them, which are two different things.
Totally different things.
Like about us, you probably got, oh, here's all about us on the homepage. Who cares? Who cares? I got a clogged shower. I don't care that you started business in 1976. I don't care that it was your great-grandfather that started the business. I don't care. I have a clogged shower.
I got a problem.
I have a
And
problem.
I need a solution.
I want to come to your website and I want to see pictures, images. I want to see statements of you unclogging stuff.
Yep.
Right? So that's how you make sure that your digital footprint is really, really good. And and Nick and Freddy and I are getting ready to break down kind of a wireframe for a website for you here in just a second. You're listening to the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Mike's on vacation, but we'd also like to invite you to go to thebrainstormradio.com, where you can subscribe to our podcast. You can watch our YouTube channel. And if you ever own the radio or want to listen to us live and you're in Columbia, South Carolina, you can go to 100.7 FM, which is Make the Point radio, from 9A to 10A on Monday mornings. That's the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Today's show is all about, if you're just joining us, today's show is all about just the marketing strategy foundation pieces. We discussed one-liner a second ago. Now we're going to get into the website outline, kind of a wireframe website, if you will. So, Nick, obviously, once Freddy and his team gets a strategy together, they bring you over to Client Services. Client Services lands them. We start doing an assessment, kind of a client questionnaire, if you will, right? I know that you guys ask a ton of questions, a lot of questions we've discussed here in the show already, but just give me kind of a rundown or an example of what that initial client questionnaire or assessment looks like.
Right. So one of the main reasons we do that is to get a good feel for what the client not only does, but to what their goals are. So we ask them their goals, we ask them their competitors. Like, can we build a strategy based off of all of these questions? It's 2 to 3 pages roughly of questions that we kind of
What's your differentiator? What type of products and services
what sets
you
you all
offer?
apart, all that kind of stuff.
How do you
And so
differ from your competitors?
Right. So we get a really good feel for their entire entity of a business. And then we start to put that plan together for their website. And the biggest part about that website, that top part, the first thing that you land on whenever you go to that page is you got like 3 to 5 seconds to really answer a lot of questions for the customer that's coming to that page. So that's why we get a good feel for each client, because we want to make sure that we could like quench the thirst of the curiosity of that client that is coming to their website, that customer that's coming there looking for an answer, to the problem that they have. So you got 3 to 5 seconds to be able to answer, who are they? What do they do? And how do I get it? So you got to be asking the clients the questions that help you answer those questions right away. And if you don't answer that within 3 to 5 seconds, you've probably lost the customer.
Yeah, no, that's vital. That's important. And we're talking about right at the top of
Right
your
at
website,
the top.
right above the fold, if you will. So anybody that knows
For
the
the old
fold
school term
is
there.
when you look at a laptop or a desktop, anything that you immediately see without scrolling downward.
Right.
That's above the fold. And so when you're looking above the fold, it is the key real estate of your website, of your digital footprint. And so what you're saying, Nick, is what our clients need is three things on there. They need to know what it is that you offer, right? How does that help solve whatever it is that somebody's looking at? And how do I get it? Right? You don't need to try and convince them to get it. They're already on your website.
Right.
They've seen your advertising. Now, again, you might have multiple things that you sell. Well, that's where strategy comes into play, because we could drive people using advertising, Freddie and Nick. We can use different advertising and different messages. So going back to our example earlier of a roofer, right? So not everybody wants a new roof that's on an existing house. I might want a new roof that's not on a house yet, might not build a house. And I might want a different kind of roof. I might want half shingles, half metal. Or I might just want a metal roof. Or I might have a commercial building. Or actually, I just might need some gutters around the roof that I currently have. Or I might just need a roof repair. It was a big storm, blew some shingles off, right? And so what would happen is you'd create advertising campaigns surrounding all of those types of products,
Right.
and you would drive them to different areas on that digital footprint. Now you see why Nick and Freddy was talking about people taking websites lightly. That means you have to have sections or landing pages for every single one of those solutions. Every single one. You can't just come and say, oh, we're a roofer, here's all of our services, and just list them all out. That was an old school website. It was called an online brochure,
Yep.
right? And so many people still have an online brochure. Here's all of our services. And then they want to know why they don't rank well on Google. Well, because you don't have any content associated with the thing that people are searching for.
That's right.
So you have to have different sections that drive people there, or different advertisements that drive different people to different sections based off what they're looking for. And then you have to have these same ingredients that Nick was talking about on each section.
Right.
So it has to be very relative and very specific to that area.
Right. And I mean, like I was saying, you have 3 to 5 seconds to kind of answer these questions. And the thing is, if you confuse in those 3 to 5 seconds, you lose. And so it's got to be clear. You got to have a lot of clarity there, and you got to be concise.
That's right. You know, a couple other things to think about too is that, people really don't read websites anymore. They scan them because they're
Right.
looking for what's important. That's why it's so important to be able to make an impact quickly. The other thing is that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So you should always have images or video on your site.
Right.
And then you always want to reinforce what you offer throughout the website. So repetition. Along with those 3,000 messages, the flip side of that, the caveat to that, is that it takes 7 to 8 times of someone hearing something to actually remember it and make it register.
Right.
So that's why you would want to repeat those key things that you provide either in your one-liner or in the header piece throughout your entire website.
Then in all of this, we kind of threw out content. Like you have to have great content. It can't just be, here's who we are. We're a roofing company that started in 1976. My grandfather did this. At the end of the day, someone's calling you because they need a new roof. It's great that you might be a second or third generation, but let people look for that stuff. And they will. They will look for that stuff. If they're interested, they will find the About Us section. They'll know that. But the majority, and About Us section, guys, as we know from our analytics, is actually a very well-visited page. How many phone calls are you getting people trying to sell you something? Where do they get that information? The About Us section.
Yep.
Right?
That's
and
right.
so you want to know why it's one of the most visited pages? Well, that might be one reason.
That's
People
right.
might be looking you up to figure out who to sell, right? And so, that's it's still important. Don't get me wrong. Showing some history and being proud of the heritage of the business and where you came from. Listen, if you have a successful business, congratulations. Not everybody's been able to do that, and that's a big deal. And so you should be proud of that. You should have that laid out somewhere, and you should spell that out and articulate that well. In fact, I can tell you that it's really, really hard for a business to start up, grow, and stay in business for, especially the 10-year mark. 10-year mark is very difficult, but just to get past the 2-year mark, is a success.
Right.
And so if you've been around since 1976 and you're multi-generational business and things of that nature, just in my hypothetical example that I'm using, congratulations. So I'm not putting that type of thing down.
You know what it really shows, though? Is it shows there's longevity with that company.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And that's the
Right.
thing that means the most to the client.
Right.
It's like they've been around. They're trusted. They're not
trusted,
going anywhere.
right. But they'll look for that. That's
Right.
not.
That's right.
That's not header material.
That's
Right.
not the curiosity piece.
Yeah,
Right.
That's not
not
the header
gonna gain-
material.
That's
And
going to
so
validate.
Is that shows authority.
That's right.
Because that's where I was going. In all of the content that you have to have 2 ingredients. You have to have empathy, and you have to have authority.
Right.
Like, you understand the problem they're seeing, you understand the problem they're having, you understand whatever it is, whether you're B2B, whether you're B2C, what it is you understand it, because that's the product and service that you have created, or that you sell, or if you manufacture, or you're a distributor of, whatever the case may be, right? But you understand it because that's the business that you're in, right? And you understand that not only the product, but you understand the reason people need the product. That's the empathy piece. Now, here's your authority. And this is the reason why we sell it. We sell it to do this. We sell it. We've been selling it for X number of decades. We have educated specialists that all they do is concentrate on educating themselves on this. I mean, you see what I mean? You have to make sure that people, that's where this stuff comes in, Nick, that,
Right.
We're 3 generations. We grew up doing this. We live in this. We breathe in this. This is what we do. So content is extremely, extremely important. So you have the one-liner, you have the message, you're driving everybody to a digital footprint, but you have to have something to cut through the noise. You have to try and build a relationship. You get them there. Now what? Now we have the content that's above the fold, right? We have that most important piece of content, which is, right, what it is that people need, right? And then you have your product, your service, and then how you get it. So real simple. So you have this remarkable, this memorable, short, precise one-liner. They drive there. They immediately see that I can get it and I know how to get it. Then they drive them, and now they're starting to look around to educate themselves, and that's where all of the great content comes from. And so that's kind of that digital footprint, man. That is the foundation of all marketing strategies that people need and people are missing out on. So Freddy, who heads up our strategic planning and our sales unit, really is our strategist. This is what they do. They do this all day, every day. Yep. Then they come in, they bring that client, introduce them to Nick. Nick jumps on the phone. Now I'm using Nick arbitrarily, but we have a lot of Nicks, right? They're not all named Nick, but we have a lot of people. And I'm just using our business as an example. Nick then helps build and craft all of those messages and wireframes the website, and then executes on the entire marketing strategy and advertising strategy. So that's what we do over at Splash Omnimedia. I appreciate you taking some time to join us today on the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Hey, thanks for joining us today on the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. If you would, take a minute and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also go over to thebrainstormradio.com and listen to our podcast and other resources that we have for you. But either way, thanks for spending some time with us on the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.